Each year, thousands of young men in Nepal apply to join the Brigade of Gurkhas in the British Army. It's the opportunity of a lifetime, offering a salary and experiences few could ever imagine finding at home. But getting in isn't easy. The process starts back home. And to find out what they have to go through, BFBS travelled to Western Nepal to see how the selection process works. Candidates first go through a regional selection process, and in November each year, the top 400 are called to Pokhara. There are only 126 places available, and it's down to the recruiting teams to make sure they select the best. Their tests are unique, their standards are high, but that doesn't put people off. Every day, before the sun is even up, potential recruits arrive at the gates of camp. They know the next few days could change their lives forever. Average salaries in Nepal are low. These days, most of the younger aspiring workforce head to the Middle East. But those that join the British Army know they'll earn far more, and they're desperate to succeed. Is this your first attempt?
Second attempt.
How much training have you been putting in to kind of do this?
I've been doing probably about 6 months, I would say. Last year I did about 3 months, and today, this year, total of 6 months. I'm feeling quite excited.
So it's you can say, my dream also to join the British Army, and indirectly I will be serving my own country also.
The Brigade of Gurkhas is a unique part of the British Army dating back to 1815. Its soldiers are respected around the world and praised for their bravery and years of distinguished service. But the numbers joining haven't always stayed the same. 10 years ago, there were 7,000 applicants. Today, the figure is just over 3,000. But the number of recruits taken on has also dropped from 230 in 2009 to 178, and today just 126, the lowest number since the early 90s.
Looking at the moment, the boys who are there serving currently, they are overstrength, I think, and on top of that, there is a redundancy going on in whole British Army. So they are trying to deduct the people. And I believe they will come back to this normal figure by 2015.
Despite the odds and the range of educational and physical tests ahead of them, today candidates are arriving better prepared than ever before. These are some of the final 400 applicants, and competition at this stage is fierce. Now, throughout Nepal, there are many external training academies which charge applicants for help with the selection process. But it's not cheap, and there's no guarantee of success. But this is a life-changing opportunity, so many will do anything, even if it comes at a price. The MOD has nothing to do with the academies, but nearly every potential recruit here has been to one. They each have 4 chances to apply for the Brigade of Gurkhas between the ages of 17.5 and 21. But forged documents are a huge problem. Many try to change details to get an extra chance, and checks are carried out carefully. Half will be selected from the west of Nepal and half from the east. It's the job of a team of ex-servicemen called Galawalas to spread recruitment information to the wider community.
Some of guys from the town, some from direct from hillside, but I saw a couple of guys. They're trying for 2 or 3 years, but somebody got success in the first year, somebody in second year, somebody not in even the 3 years time.
All potential recruits go through medical assessments, checking everything from heart rates to hearing. But one of their first tests is a PFT, a physical fitness test covering 2.4 kilometres in less than 9 minutes 40. Around the track in camp, it's a straightforward pass or fail, and there's tougher tests ahead. But where they all seem to struggle is education. The standard is high, with English essays, maths tests, listening and interviews. In just one exam, 26 failed straight away. But staff say it's tough for a reason.
The standard is very high simply because we have to ensure that the Gurkha recruits that do eventually join the British Army can operate effectively with their British counterparts. Also, due to the high numbers of potential recruits that come through the door, we are in a position to be able to demand the best from them. And for that reason, we can also set very good standards.
Those that are selected will have further classes in Catterick and go on to a 9-month training programme at the Infantry Training Centre. It's testament to the recruiting teams and the selection process that no one ever drops out. But in Pokhara, dozens fail every day and they're sent home, bus fare in hand. Slumped with disappointment, many will still come back again next year. Those that do get through to day 2 know there's still one of the toughest physical selection tests to come, the Doko race, and it's one they simply cannot fail. By dawn the next day, they're lined up on the riverbed in preparation. The Doko race is taken very seriously. It's an uphill sprint, testing strength, stamina and speed. Their Dokos are waiting, each filled with 25 kilos of sand, which they'll carry on a 5-kilometre route to the top of the hill. If they want to pass, they have to complete the course in 48 minutes.
The fastest boy always comes in about 37-38 minutes. Compare that to the fastest Brit who's ever done it, who was 39 minutes. Physically, for anyone, it would be a huge challenge. However, these PRs, these potential recruits, have trained extensively for this. They will have done it 5, 6, 7, 8 times already. And so they come to it with a degree of confidence, I believe.
Starting off, it's a sprint. The candidates are set off in 3 stages, hurtling through the valley before the steep climb begins. Crowds line the route, spectators, family members and mentors from their training academies. Those running need all the encouragement they can get. This is no gentle jog. Stone steps line the first half, straining calf muscles and leaving many breathless to keep up with them. By the midway point, the leaders are already becoming clear. In Nepal, there's certainly no shortage of hills to practice on. In the past, many of the potential recruits were born in the mountains. In terrain deep for roads, they grew up having to transport supplies on their backs, and today many now earn a living as porters, keeping food stocks and tour groups moving. But this is a changing country, and many families today have left the harsh hillside for a life of suburban simplicity. Those who were born on the flat plains in the south won't find this easy, but you wouldn't really know it. Over the years, other members of the army have tried to beat records set by the Gurkhas, and none have succeeded. This is the brigade's unique test, and many would say that's just as well.
This is quite tough selection actually. It's very hard for the boys. Strength is the hardest bit. So if they manage to stay on, they can pass, otherwise it's not easy.
Up at the top, the finish line awaits. For some, it's an emotional end. For others, it's a triumph.
As it was very much competitive, but I even though given, I have never gave up.
Must have to give continuity for this race. It's very hard in this selection, central selection.
The fastest time ever to complete the Doko race was in 34 minutes, and that was 3 years ago. Today, the fastest was 39 minutes. But most of these potential recruits are still waiting to find out their times, to find out if they passed. Such is the demand and high standards, there will always be those who pass the challenges and exams, only to leave disappointed. Out of those who are selected, 63 will come from the east of Nepal and 63 from the west. And they'll leave in January to start their training in Catterick. They'll join a long list of Gurkhas in the British Army, one of the few brigades to have its future secure. In recent Army 2020 cuts, all of its 6 cap badges were kept intact. At the headquarters in Kathmandu, I caught up with the Gurkha Major, Hitman Gurung, who admits they've been fortunate.
Well, the brigade has been very, very lucky. I said lucky because on the recent announcement, the brigade will stay, will have all the cap badges will stay. That is a fantastic news. Surely the number may go slightly, but I don't think it will have a huge impact to the Brigade Gurkhas.
Must have been quite a relief for everyone here, I think.
Absolutely, it's a fantastic news for the Brigade Gurkhas. And the fact that is, all the capacity is going to return is hopefully one day we will pick up again and we'll grow up.
How's the brigade perceived in Nepal? How would you say that the brigade is still viewed in today's times?
There are a few things that Nepal is known. Mount Everest, the birthplace of Buddha, and the birthplace or where the Gurkhas originated. So they take very pride. It is one of the things that we take huge pride to be a Gurkha and to be associated with the British Crown.
Some Nepali MPs have said they want to put a stop to some of the recruiting. Do you see that ever happening? Is there any threat with that?
Well, I'm not a politician myself. I don't know what the agendas are, so I can't really speak on behalf of them. But as a Nepali citizen, as a Gurkha soldier, I go and meet all the people all over Nepal because I travel quite a lot in my job. I don't think that I haven't come across anybody who has come to me personally and said the brigade has to stop. Everyone is in favor that the brigade should stay and stay as long as possible. Nepal has many political parties. Maybe it is an agenda for one or two political parties, but it's not the political agenda for all the political parties, I believe.
And in your opinion, what makes a British Gurkha soldier unique?
Well, first of all, it has to come from your heart, from your own mind. And we have a historical link. It's a huge honor for any Gurkha, sort of Nepalis to be a Gurkha. So maybe that's what it is. It has to come from your heart that I want to be a Gurkha. Maybe that's the key.
There are certainly many here giving it all they've got. If they succeed, their lives will never be quite the same again. They'll leave these mountains behind for a new military life 4,000 miles away, where a new adventure and a new career lies in wait. Gurkhas won the right to settle in the UK in 2009. The campaign, led by actress Joanna Lumley, opened the doors, allowing veterans with at least 4 years' service the rights they've been waiting for. Since then, thousands have made the move to Britain, bringing their wives and young children with them, and applications are still coming in. The Gurkha Settlement Office in Kathmandu offers advice to anyone considering the move, but Ipasad Gurung came here with his wife to start the application process.
My younger brother is already living in the UK. He's in Aldershot, and I want to go and live with him there.
The centre opened 6 months after resettlement rights were granted. In the past, some companies tried to make money from the process, charging fake fees for applications. But here they want to dispel rumours and make the process easy. They advise each couple to have at least £5,000 to pay for flights, visas and their first 3 months' rent.
We provide them the factual information to them so that they could make an informed choice. We advise them what sort of documents they need to take along with them, so it's also important.
Everyone who applies has to have the right documents. The Records Office in Pokhara stores 38,000 files of servicemen dating between 1947 and 2008. Here they check the paperwork and make sure they're eligible. More than 33,000 people have come to the Kathmandu office since it opened. The initial flurry of applications may have tailed off, but they're still very busy. Over the last 3 years, demand for resettlement has been steady. On average, every month, 800 people visit these offices to make inquiries. Each month, 150 applications are received and around 80 visas approved. And it's veterans in their 60s that are most likely to make the move. Most are attracted by the UK's standard of living, our healthcare system, state benefits or pensions. For others, it's the chance to earn money. But while the move can be great for some, others have struggled, finding themselves stuck in bedsits, unprepared for the language barrier and the cost of living.
What we do here is provide them with the opportunity and the facts with which they can make an informed decision themselves. And it is a very serious decision that they have to make. We can't influence them, we wouldn't want to influence them. But we do hopefully signpost some of the pitfalls of going back and some of the benefits of going back. So it's a very impartial system that we have here.
Many have opted out of resettlement, believing they're better off in Nepal. Some have joined groups like the Gurkha Community Pokhara, which pools veterans' money, skills and experience for investment. It runs a banking cooperative, radio station and grocery store. 800 people have joined up as members, and there are plans to expand services throughout the local area.
We want to do some joint venture that will also prove us that we are not only the soldiers with the bullet and guns. That will prove us that having served abroad as a soldier, when we come back, then we can do a lot in Nepal as well.
This scheme is working, but there are thousands of other veterans in Nepal who struggle, ending up vulnerable and isolated in their villages. And that's where the Gurkha Welfare Trust comes in. The organisation has been supporting ex-servicemen, their dependents and their communities for years through its field arm, the Gurkha Welfare Scheme. Thanks to backing from actress Joanna Lumley, the trust raises £11 million every year. Their money goes into projects all across the country, and it's distributed from local area welfare centres right in the heart of the community. At the centre in Shanza, the doors are always open. This is one of 19 centres in Nepal offering support to veterans and their families. Ex-servicemen from over 90 villages come to this centre. Many don't qualify for the standard army pension because they served less than 15 years. Instead, they get a welfare pension, a £40 a month payment from GWS, designed to support the most vulnerable. Surendra Gurung is the area welfare officer here. It's his job to ensure the money goes where it's needed.
It happens every 3 months. We pay them out on a quarterly basis. We look after nearly 560 pensioners. Normally, we target those people who are very old and frail, who has no support at all. And most of the welfare pensioners, I would say, are living in a semi-destitute situation. So it's very important for them.
This area welfare centre is far more than just a pension payment centre. It's a community hub offering medical care and running its own farm where it produces honey, vegetables and breeds pigs. It's a way of making money here on site. The farm has just had some new arrivals. Overnight, 13 piglets have been born, adding to a growing stock, which will eventually be sold on to the local community. But the centre focuses its efforts out in the field. Surendra and his team often patrol out to the villages. Here they've recently funded a water project with the help of the Department for International Development. Homes in the area relied on supplies from a natural spring. Now, thanks to a water tank system, they have it piped direct to their door. Over 50 households have benefited. In nearby Chura village, staff are visiting Naya Bazaar School to discuss refurbishment. Pupils come here from miles around. Over the years, GWS has helped hundreds of schools like this one, rebuilding and extending classrooms. And thanks to funding from its vice-patron Joanna Lumley, it's built a brand new school in the area. The GWS budget is more than £11 million a year. It's closely audited, and yet there's always the need for more. With political uncertainty in Nepal, no welfare system in place and a lack of local governance, the Trust says there's always demand.
We mainly focus our activities around where our traditional recruiting areas have been. Unlike in the UK where people have the benefit of the state benefits and all, there's nothing really in Nepal. They're mostly the Second World War soldiers and their veterans. They're in old age and need help at this stage.
Checks are carried out on pensioners regularly. Tulkumari Khatri is 84 and a widow. Her husband served for 10 years with the Brigade of Gurkhas and she collects a pension every 3 months. But it's difficult to get to the area welfare centre. She can't walk, she has to be carried to the road and then taken in a car. Often a relative picks up the money on her behalf because it's just too difficult. And you don't have to travel far to find others. Chim Bahadur often talks about his time in the army. about the weeks being surrounded by enemy forces in Italy during the Second World War, about the friends he lost in the fight. He's 94 years old and one of more than 8,000 welfare pensioners living in Nepal. He served with the 1st Battalion, 9 Gurkha Rifles, for 7 years and lives with his 3rd wife in Taladi village in western Nepal. He's frail and vulnerable, his house doesn't have any electricity and he's too weak to work on his farm or to make it down the steep hills in his village. He relies on his welfare pension, a £40 a month payment from the Gurkha welfare scheme, and says without it he wouldn't survive.
My welfare pension is vital. Like everyone, I could do with more. I'm old and frail and I can't do anything. I served for 7 years with the Brigade of Gurkhas. Many of my colleagues died and I was lucky to survive.
Jim Bahadur relies on his wife's help, but there are many veterans whose families have moved further afield for work or have no one to count on at all. The Gurkha Welfare Scheme has stepped in to help. Since 2010, they've been running 2 residential homes, one at Kaski near Pokhara and another at Dharan in the east. They're the first of their kind, and there's nothing like it anywhere else in the country. Kaski is home to 26 welfare pensioners or their widows, some of the most vulnerable. Residential care is simply unheard of in Nepal. Normally the elderly stay in their villages and they can often end up alone, far from the medical care that they need. But here at Kaski, Gurkha veterans and their widows can get the help and comfort they need in their final years. Everyone here is over 75 years old. The oldest is 94. This is not a nursing home. There isn't the means to support those with a serious illness or mental health issue, but there's plenty of help at hand.
So it is very difficult to live in place, so when they come here, it is very relief for their dignity. Initially, when they arrive here, they are quite scared because they are not knowing each other. But after a few days, few months, they will coming as part of family.
Every resident has their own room and they're fully catered for. They pay 40% of their welfare pension towards their accommodation.
This is my sleeping bed, bistara, cot.
Bahadur Rai is one of the residents who served in the Brigade of Gurkhas for 12 years. He came here because no one in his family could support him.
I get regular meals and the accommodation is good. I didn't think a place like this existed. I like to have tea at 6 every morning and here it's made for me. It's great.
More than half of all welfare pensioners are over 75. Those that live here can see the benefits. They've been given peace of mind and some would say a spring in their step. But it doesn't suit everyone. Whether veterans stay in Nepal or venture to the UK, there are success stories and struggles. It's a personal choice to stay or go, and not always an easy one. The important thing is that there's help available, that those choosing to leave know what life in Britain is really like, and those that stay have the support they need to spend their final years in peace.